Hi, Marcos. Good to see you again.
Likewise, nice to see you, Ollie. Hi, hi, hi.
So, questions have come up, which actually I'm quite interested in the answer of this. So I'll read you out the question. I use the time as a consultation as a horary astrological chart to the patient's situation and treatment. So basically, when you know this, and basically, with the time when the consultation starts is used as a date and time to set up a chart, and then you look at that chart to figure out the treatment and the likely outcome of the treatment and what's going on with the patient. So the question is, if a year or two later the same patient should come back, do I need to do a new chart or should I read it from the old one? Because of course, you could argue this is a new situation, that's a new chart, but then you could also argue the old chart holds the entire future of this person's illness, so maybe you should be using that one. So what are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Marcos?
Okay, I'll give my two penneth, then you give yours, I think. So my thoughts on this are the answer is implicit in the question. You said if it's a new situation. So for me, if it's the same illness and the same issue, I'd go back to the original chart. If it's
Right.
just a new iteration of this same issue, I would go back to the original consultation chart. If it's a brand new issue, say they came to you the first time for a skin problem, but this time 2 years later they've come back to you because they've got an issue with their hip. It's a new issue, requires a new chart. So that's short and quick and dirty, clean and simple, however you want it, whichever idiom you prefer. But that's the short version. The nuance, I suppose, here is a little segue into birth charts. If somebody has a constitutional lifelong issue, then that's one of the few times when I would probably look at a birth chart in terms of the medical stuff. So
Right,
I
interesting. Yes.
might, I might, so somebody, in other words, some things like cystic fibrosis, something they're born with or genetically inevitable, like Huntington's or something like that, I might look at the birth chart in all cases. Um, but if it's a decumbiture or a consultation chart, the main answer is it a new situation? If it's a new situation, it requires a new chart. The second little bit of nuance to that is I always try and get timing from a chart, when they first arrive, just symbolic timing of how the
Yes.
thing will develop. So a secondary thing that I use, the primary is it a new problem? New problem requires a new chart. That's the overarching thing. But the secondary bit of nuance is, has the timer expired? You know what I mean? Like if you did a chart initially and in that chart you saw that symbolically something might be coming up for this patient in a couple of years,
Right, right, interesting.
well
Yes.
then that chart is still describing that I mean, we were talking before this started of a client of yours who you saw a while back, and we discussed their chart before, and we'd thought maybe they might come back at some point with an inflammatory issue,
Yes,
and they have.
they
And
have.
that potential was shown in that initial consultation chart. So even though in that client's case, the presentation might be slightly different, the
Hmm.
eventuality was shown in that first chart.
So
And
use that chart again.
yeah, I would use the same one because the eventuality, the fact that that was likely to happen or plausible was shown in the first chart.
Right,
And even
interesting.
though the presentation was, I think you said, slightly different, it's still somewhat contiguous with the initial issues, arguably.
I think so. I mean, because without giving too much away,
No.
it was an issue, initially a digestive issue, which was solved. And then the patient, had an acute illness and which re-triggered the symptoms.
So it's a re-triggering. Okay. So
Exactly,
so
yes.
that's the key. I would say the key here is like if it's a re-triggering of symptoms or issues that you've addressed, and we saw that potential in the chart before,
Yes.
then you can use the original chart. If, however, the issue is brand new, then it needs a new decumbiture or
Brilliant.
consultation.
Okay.
That would be
Well,
my
I
answer.
mean,
I mean,
no,
Ollie,
I
do you
think
have any other
I
thoughts on
think
that?
everyone will be happy with that. That makes it eminently clear. So that's great.
Okay,
It's a very
good. Oh,
interesting comment about the birth chart as well, though, that to go back to that for someone who's got like that sort of a genetic maybe or illness or running through their life. That's
yeah, I think
interesting.
that's my view on that, because I mean, if Culpeper says if you, or is it Lily? I think it's Culpeper who says if you have the natal chart, you shall not err. And he's meaning there, having the natal chart enables you to see the native's temperament, where weaknesses are, what their constitutional issues are. But most of the time in practice, he's using decumbitures and illness charts, as we know.
And of course, we had that wonderful interview with Nathan where he does a wonderful combination of the decumbiture chart and the birth chart and how they can riff off each other, which was
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
well
absolutely.
worth watching if you
And
haven't.
I think for anyone interested in this discussion, we actually had it in our very, very first episode, I think, which was why your doctor knows nothing about astronomy. So you can go back and watch us talking about that whole decumbiture thing there. But anyway, really
Okay,
interesting question,
brilliant.
Ollie. So
Thank you.
brilliant. Likewise.
All right.
Nice to see you.
Till next time. Cheerio.
And
Cheerio, everyone.
brilliant. And just as usual, everybody, if you enjoyed, like the episode, share the episode, comment, put any ideas or thoughts you have in the comments below. We always like to read them, and hopefully see you in the next one. All right. Bye.